Welcome students, welcome to the next session of Strength of Metals 1. So in the previous classes we have started our discussion on the last chapter, which is thin cylinders and thick cylinders. There in the first part we have completed our analysis of the thin cylinders, which is involving both stress involved, strains and corresponding outputs such as volumetric strain, efficiency, of joints, all these things in the thin cylindrical shells. Right? In the first thing, in the stresses, we have observed two types. Those are hoop stresses and the longitudinal stresses. Right? In generally, every cylinder may have three types of stresses, such as radial pressure, hoop stress and longitudinal stress. But in case of thin cylinders, I am excluding radial pressure because its variation is nothing or negligible. Okay, in case of the thin cylinders, that's why only in stresses, longitudinal stress and hoop stress, these two only we will consider, and the corresponding longitudinal strain and the hoop strain or the circumferential strain. These two terms only we will use. Using these conditions and application, we have generated the volumetric strain concept, and then as we have observed the efficiency of the joint, and also for these conditions we have developed problems also for calculating these conditions, right? So in this way we have completed our concept on thin cylindrical shells, and later we came into the concept of thin spherical shells, right? So in case of thin spherical shells, what we have observed, so thin spherical shell same like the cylindrical segment, but it is having spherical shaped structure, and the fluid is causing the upward force like this, and again same like the thin cylindrical shells, here also you can observe sigma C and sigma L. But one more thing is, sigma C is equal to sigma L because circumferential wave stresses and the longitudinal wave stresses both are same, because this is symmetrical as well as in X and Y. Okay, so this is sigma C and sigma L are equal. The circumferential stress and the longitudinal stress for the thin spherical shell. Okay. And we have got the output as PD by 4T. Right? So in this way, sigma C is equal to sigma L is equal to PD by 4T formula we have got. Okay. Now we went into thick cylinders. Okay. So when we are coming for the differentiation, thick cylinders. What is the difference between the thin cylinder and the thick cylinder? So, in case of the thickness of the cylinder is large when compared that to the thin cylinder, that is thick cylinder. Okay, how much? Right? In a particular thing, the thick cylinders, the metal thickness T is more than that of D by 20. Such a type of cylinders having a thickness, which thickness of the cylinder is more than internal diameter divided by 20. Okay, thickness is more than that of D by 20 ratio. So, such a type of cylinders we are calling as thick cylinders. And for the thick cylinders, we are observing the magnitude of radial pressure is very large. So that radial pressure, this radial circumferential stress or the hoop stress will be considered, as well as the longitudinal stress also will be there, but it is being constant. Okay. So, here the consideration of radial pressure is also involved. Okay, radial, longitudinal and this circumferential stresses are as it is. Okay, and for these conditions we have used an equation, Lami's equation. Okay, this Lami's equation or the Lami's equations means the equations for the calculation of radial pressure, the equations for the calculation of circumferential stress. Okay, so these are the calculations we have done, and further, we went into a theorem, Lami's equations. So, this theorem is using some assumptions. Like if the theorem is using some assumptions, this is also using. And the first thing is, the plane sections are remain plane or normal to the axis of the cylinder even after the pressure application. The longitudinal stress and the longitudinal strain. Remember this, longitudinal stress and longitudinal strain are remaining constant throughout the thickness of the cylinder. Okay. the longitudinal stress and longitudinal strain are being constant throughout the thickness of the cylinder. Even though it is having very big thickness, at any point of the thickness, okay, I am observing the same longitudinal stress, okay, the same longitudinal strain. And the next point is the longitudinal stress and longitudinal strain are being constant. The difference in the magnitude of the hoop stress and radial pressure at any point of the cylinder is always a constant. Okay, this assumption they have given as these two values are being constant, nothing but longitudinal stress and longitudinal strain are being constant. The difference between the PR and the difference between the circumferential stress, these two difference is always constant. Okay, the next thing, the material is homogeneous, isotropic, and it is obeying the Hooke's law and also the Poisson's concept. Okay, so as the material is having a nature of homogeneity. Homogeneity means in one direction wherever you go, along the depth, along the length, it will show same properties such as Young's modulus, such as Poisson's ratio. Similarly, it is having isotropic nature at a particular point in the top way or in the bottom way or in the x direction, y direction or z direction. At a particular point in all the directions, it is having the same properties. Okay, so that is the isotropic condition, and also it is obeying Hooke's law. So generally, what is Hooke's law? So when I am applying a load within the elastic limit, after the removal, it should get its original shape and size. Nothing but when I am including some stress, the corresponding strain is in direct relation. But when the load is within the elastic limit, here for the container or for the cylinder, what is the load I am giving? The load which I am giving is its fluid pressure. Okay, so as I am supplying some fluid to the tank and that fluid is exerting some pressure, that is the load acting on the cylinder. So when the load is acting onto the cylinder, that load is within the elastic limit and the corresponding strain in the member is directly relational or directly proportional. Okay, this sigma is directly proportional to epsilon. Okay, so these are the assumption points, and then for the analysis of the radial pressure and hoop stress. Okay, from the Lewis equations we are giving the equations for the radial pressure and the circumferential stress only. Even though I am having longitudinal stress, I am giving these two answers only. Okay, for the longitudinal, from the basics also you can give same like thin cylinder. Okay, now the radial pressure and the circumferential stress. For such conditions, what is the thing? For that, I am taking a cylinder which is thick in nature. So simply some radius is there and some thickness is there, and when I observe the internal radius of that particular cylindrical structure is R1 and the outer or the external radius of the particular cylinder is R2, and that cylinder is having a fluid with a pressure of P. So P is equal to pressure of the fluid inside the cylinder. Okay, so this P is being exerted onto the walls of the cylinder. Okay, so this is the P, the pressure exerted on the inside walls of the cylinder, and it is having an internal radius of R1 and external radius of external radius of R1, internal is R2, R1 to R2. Okay, R1 to R2. Anyway, whatever you start, in that way you should have to complete. Okay, I have taken R1 is the external and R2 is the internal. That's why this was happening. And what we have observed, so for analyzing anything in the same way, we should have to consider a small element, and the analysis will give us the help for the remaining things, right? So here also the same concept. Okay, consider a thick cylinder of external radius R1 and internal radius R2 containing a fluid under a pressure P as shown in the figure. Just only we have observed. Okay, let capital L be the length of the cylinder. All these things we have observed already. In the cylinder, I am considering an elemental ring which is at a distance R from the center. Okay, so an elemental cylinder I am observing at a distance R from the center, and its thickness is a delta R. Okay, so at a distance of R, I am observing an elemental cylinder and it is showing some thickness. Okay, so it is having some thickness, and on the inside walls, okay, on the inside walls of the cylinder, on the inside there will be a pressure of the fluid at the complete inside. At the complete inside, I am observing P, but I am going inside to some distance. At R2, the pressure is P, but I am going at somewhere which is at R distance, not at R2 distance. So, at a distance R, the corresponding pressure on the inside of that particular ring is PR. Okay, so PR is the pressure on the inside walls of the fluid. Okay, pressure acting on the inside walls of the fluid. Okay, due to the fluid on the tanker, on the inside walls of that particular tanker, this fluid is offering some pressure. And also, the complete container was having some other material. So, on the outside of that particular ring, again I am observing some stress. That stress I will indicate as PR plus delta PR. Okay, so you can observe the same concept here, taking this only ring out. Okay, only this ring was came out, and it is having an radius as R. So maybe at this level this is R2, and from this to this level this is R1. Okay, R2 and this one is R1. In between this R2 and R1 there is a level which is at a distance R. So that is the interior, and for the exterior we are observing some R and delta R measurement. Okay, and also on the inside walls you are observing PR as the pressure, and on the exterior walls PR plus delta PR is the pressure. Now, when you observe only the top segment, the same appearance will come. But when you see the cross-sectional view of the cylinder and cut the section along the x-axis, okay, in this way, when you observe what is the stress corresponding comes to keep the circumference as it is, some circumferential stress comes. Okay, so along the length when it is getting splitted, that is longitudinal stress. Along the circumference when it is getting splitted, it is circumferential stress. Okay, so when you observe the upper hemisphere of the particular cylindrical cell, on the outside PR plus delta PR external pressure, and on the inside PR is the internal pressure of the fluid, and it is having an internal radius as R, and up to this position when it is having an radius as R plus delta R, because see here, this is the thickness of the particular ring element. Okay, I am considering. So, from the center to this edge, it is R radius, and from the center to the external edge or the outer edge, that is R plus delta R is the radius. Or the particular element's thickness, I can say it is delta R. Okay, now I am observing a circumferential stress which is acting onto the cylinder, right? So, this sigma C is acting to keep the material in the position. It is a resisting force. Even though the fluid is causing some burst, but this sigma is causing some resistance, because some resistance is there in the material. Okay, that resisting will come from the circumferential stress output. Now, consider an elemental ring of radius R, its thickness delta R as shown in the figure, and let PR and PR plus delta PR be the intensities of the radial pressures at the inner face and the outer face of the particular ring. Now, considering the longitudinal section, you can observe the x-axis section as shown in the figure. You can see here again. So, from the center it is a radius, and from the center it is an R plus delta R radius, and it is having a length of L, and on the inside it is having a pressure of PR, and on the external side it is having a pressure of PR plus delta PR. Okay, so the bursting force which is evaluated by considering the projected area. Okay, so how much the pressure is acting, that is the bursting force coming, right? So, how much is the pressure acting? So, this fluid pressure is acting on this surface. This particular projected area or the rectangular area. When you see the section, you can observe a rectangular area, right? So, that projected area on which this projected area only the pressure is coming. Okay. So, the pressure, how much is coming? PR. And what is the area? It is having a dimension as R plus R, that is 2R. So, pressure PR into 2R into. So, pressure, okay, pressure into area. So, its dimension is 2R and its dimension is L. So, PR into 2R into L. Okay, so 2R into L is the pressure corresponding area. And also, for the bursting force resistance, what is the corresponding area? From here to this level, you should have to observe. Okay. This needed to be involved. So the whole portion needed to be involved. Right? So the complete projected area for the PR plus delta PR, this bursting force, what is the projected area? A complete radius of R plus delta R, 2 times R plus delta R into L is the projected area, and the corresponding pressure acting on this area is PR plus delta PR. Right? So the net bursting force. So just now only we have observed. Here I am observing a bursting force which is causing like this, and the net bursting force which is causing like this. Now overall, what is the bursting force? What is the force which is causing the splitting? Right? The net bursting force is equal to this quantity minus this quantity. Net bursting force is equal to fluid which is causing the body to burst, and minus the reversal action force, which is, this is causing thickness, right? In this member I am observing thickness. Radial pressure is compressive in nature, yes? So that way this answer will come. So the net bursting force is equal to, the net force I have indicated as a capital P. Small p is the fluid pressure inside the tanker, okay, inside the container. And the first force, PR into 2R into L. So PR into 2R into L minus PR plus delta PR into area, 2 into R plus delta R into L. And then we have got PR into 2R into L minus PR into delta PR, 2 times this radius and length. So the projected area into the corresponding pressure. Here also the projected area and the corresponding pressure. Now after the multiplication and cancelling, what are the terms that are common? And I have got this equation that is equal to 2L minus PR delta R minus R delta PR minus delta PR delta R. Okay. So this is the net bursting force. Okay. This bursting force is being resisted. Okay. This bursting force is being resisted by the tensile force which is developed at the level of a strip. Okay. So at that particular strip, some resisting force is still stopping, as this upper hemisphere is trying to go up or this lower hemisphere is trying to go down. The corresponding sigma c, what is the circumferential stress, is still resisting the particular strip. Okay, so what is the resisting force? Okay, that Fr, resisting force Fr is equal to, what is the resisting force? We can observe from here. So this is the net stopping, as the fluid is causing like this and this is causing or stopping like this, right? So how much it will stop? On how much quantity or how much area it was connected, right? So this sigma c is acting on which area? It is acting on this particular connectivity of the metal only. So where the metal connectivity was there only it can act, right? So where the metal connectivity is there, that area only it will act. Okay, so the sigma c is acting on the metal connected area and this fluid is acting on the projected area. Metal connected area is showing the resistance, fluid is causing the bursting. Okay, so this sigma c is causing the corresponding resistance. How much is the area? It is having a thickness of delta r. So delta r into L again plus delta r into L. So sigma c into delta r into L plus delta r into L. Sigma c into 2 times delta RL, because delta RL, one rectangle, plus delta RL, another rectangle, and the whole is being multiplied by sigma c. So sigma c into one rectangle strip. Here also one rectangle we have observed that value. So using these two answers, you can calculate the corresponding bursting force is being resisted by such a condition, and the resisting force, that this bursting force is being resisted with this quantity. Now, as for the equilibrium condition, how much the bursting happening, that much resistance should have to happen to keep the body as it is. So, where this sigma c is indicated as the Hooke stress. Why it is sigma c here? Because it is stopping the body along the circumference. So, the circumferential stress, the tangent to the circumference of the particular ring. Okay. So, sigma c is the Hooke stress induced in that particular ring. Okay. The next thing is equating these two conditions. So, thus the equilibrium P is equal to Fr, which is equal to, as it is the same quantities I have kept equated, and possible conditions I am cancelling. So, here 2L is there, here also 2L I have observed, and also repeating the same terms as it is. Then you can say one more thing, as we have already said, when the quantity is lesser than 1, when the multiplication or power is causing even more lesser quantity, like 0.0000 into 0.00, it will cause even more lesser value, not the good value which is more than 1. So that is the difference. So here also delta PR is indicating very smaller pressure. Here delta R is also indicating smaller change in thickness. Okay, that particular delta R thickness of the ring element I am considering. So the multiplication of these two will cause even more lesser. So I am neglecting those quantities which are very, very small. Okay, neglecting the products of the smaller quantities such as delta PR into delta R. Compared to the remaining things are only one time. But here two quantities were there. That's why this delta PR into delta R I am neglecting. Okay, now repeating the remaining terms as it is, and once this term was removed, okay, so what you can say, you can cancel this delta R with delta R, and this will be delta PR by delta. So sigma C is equal to minus PR minus R times delta PR by delta R. So this is the one step. Okay, sigma C, the circumferential stress sigma C is equal to minus PR minus delta R by delta, minus delta PR by delta R. This is equation number 1. Okay, in the next step, what we are doing? So, the longitudinal strain at any point. Now I am going into the assumption. Up to that, you should have to remember one more concept, that is, I am considering a ring element, the corresponding bursting force and the corresponding resisting force. Equating those two, we are calculating the corresponding sigma C, the circumferential stress or the Hooke stress of the particular element ring, involving PR, delta PR and delta R terms, and neglecting the higher, very smaller quantities, higher powers. Okay. Now I am going for the next point and the next step of the analysis. So the longitudinal strain at any point of the section is a constant, and it is independent of the radius. As the longitudinal strain is being constant, hence the longitudinal stress is also constant. As this was also stated in the assumption, as the longitudinal strain is constant, the corresponding stress is also constant, and sigma L is indicated as the longitudinal stress. This we already know. Next, hence at any point at a distance r from the center, the corresponding principal stresses acting on the particular element or the particular ring are the first and the foremost, or the priority needed to be given for the radial compressive stress. So in the word itself I am repeatedly using so that you can remember. So circumferential or the circumferential stress or Hooke stress, and also the longitudinal stress. These two will be always tensile, and the radial pressure is always compressive in nature. Okay, so the radial compressive stress PR, and the next thing, the Hooke circumferential tensile stress, which is sigma C, and the longitudinal tensile stress, which is sigma L. So the three main or the principal stresses acting on the particular element of the thick cylindrical shell are these three. Okay, so PR, sigma C and sigma L. PR is in compressive nature, sigma C and sigma L are in tensile nature. Okay. So the longitudinal strain. So whenever you are calculating at any particular body, I am observing three different forces are acting. See here, I am considering a particular element. Okay, so one is causing tensile. Okay, maybe it is a sigma L. One is causing, another one is also causing tensile. Another one is causing compression. So, a body which is being subjected to three mutually perpendicular forces, the corresponding strain equation, three mutually perpendicular forces are being applied on a particular body, the corresponding stress equation and strain equation we have generated in our first chapter of simple stresses and strains, right? So here also you can use the same thing. What is the tensile in nature? That is positive first, but generally minus mu will be there, and if it is a compressive, the corresponding plus mu will become. Now EL, so I am giving priority for the longitudinal strain. So the longitudinal strain EL or the epsilon L is equal to, so this value I am considering. So epsilon L is equal to change in length by original length and the corresponding stress by Young's modulus of the material. But only when this force is acting, this was okay. But at the same time, two more stresses are acting. Now the next effect, which is due to the circumferential stress, which is minus mu times sigma c by E. One more stress is also acting, but it is causing compression. Why it is mu? As the longitudinal strain is trying to expand, okay, it is trying to expand, so it is helping in a positive way. But as it is trying to expand, this member is extending like this, so that it may contracted. Due to the force or the stress in this direction, this length is getting reduced. That's why minus came. Again, one more concept is there. This member is causing the body to suppress. Force itself is causing the body to suppress. Due to this action, some bulging along the length may occur, right? And not along the body in this direction. That's why the length may be increased. The length may be increased. That's why plus mu times PR by E. Small p suffix R divided by E. In this way, you should have to write for the longitudinal strain. The same thing you have observed here. Sigma L by E minus mu times sigma C by E plus mu times PR by E. Okay, so these are the things now. The longitudinal strain EL or the epsilon L is always a constant, as we have already mentioned in our assumption stated here also. So I am keeping this value is equal to constant. And also we have said one more thing. Longitudinal stress is also constant. Yes. But sigma L is also constant. Yes. So this sigma L also I can shift there. Not only sigma L, some more things were there. What are those? Young's modulus of the material, Poisson's ratio of the material are always the same. Always the same means they are constant whatever is the point you are calculating. So even in the top fiber, in the bottom fiber, interior fiber, at any elemental fiber position or location, Young's modulus and the corresponding Poisson's ratio are not at all changing. That's why this E and A, so E and mu are also constant. So sigma L is constant, and also for the middle of the cylinder, E and mu are also constant. So as the constant terms were there on the left side, I can shift it to the right side and keeping it as a constant. Okay. So the next thing we are doing is, so sigma L by E minus mu times sigma C by E plus mu times PR by E is equal to constant, and keeping sigma L by E as it is and mu by E common, sigma C minus PR. So sigma L and E are constant. So keeping that way, mu and E are constant. Some multiplication, whatever it is, if it is 1000, 100 or anything, some constant. I am not at all giving the numerical. So for the constant, no need to give the particular E, sigma by L, everything. Only one more constant, some different constant came. Now sigma C minus PR is equal to constant. This is also one of our assumption, as the longitudinal stress and longitudinal strain are being constant. The difference between circumferential stress and the radial pressure is also a constant. Okay. So this output we have got now. Now for this constant, in the replacement I am using one more term, which is 2A. Why 2A? Because later I can use this 2A for some other terms. That's why here itself I have used 2A. Simply it is also a constant, it is not at all a formula, but the constant I have replaced with 2A. Okay. So where 2A is a constant. Now this sigma C is equal to 2A plus PR. So this is my equation 2. Already I have given one more equation. So there the equation number 1 has given me sigma C is equal to minus PR by delta R. Now we have got one equation that is regarding sigma C. The sigma C is equal to PR plus 2A. So using the equation number 1 and 2, I can write P plus 2A is equal to sigma C's replacement I have got from equation 1. That replacement is minus PR minus R delta PR by PR. Okay, delta R. Okay. Now this rearrangement I will do now, and with the rearrangement and keeping R delta PR by delta R as it is and keeping the remaining things on the other side. So minus PR minus 2A. So just a simple rearrangement. Whatever the things I need, those things I am rearranging for my side, and the unwanted things I am taking to the other side. So delta PR by delta R minus 2 times PR plus A by R, and taking this part to the bottom and taking this delta r to the top, minus 2 times delta r by r. And once you observe this function, when you have enough concept in the mathematics, you can say it is appearing like a derivative of the log function. Log of x is equal to 1 over x. Okay, so in that way it is coming. That's why this function's derivative it may appear. That's why. So integrating the above equations, you can get 1 over x. So dx by x is equal to log of x in the natural, or dx by some f of x, if it is there, the corresponding log to the base e of the corresponding bottom function. Okay, so this f of x, and if possible, here you should have to indicate f dash f, it is a some more function it is there. Okay, so log of f of x, so log of f of x, and also here minus 2 as it is I am keeping, minus 2 as it is I am keeping, delta r by r again 1 over x, so log of r, and integration has happened, that's why some integration constant will come, even though that constant is simply a value, but I am keeping it log of some constant value I should have to add, so log b raised to the base e, and where log e to the base b, sorry, log b to the base e is a constant of integration. Okay, the next step, so the equation can be written as you already know the basics of the mathematics, so the left term as it is I am keeping, and the right term I am writing as minus 2 times log r is there, right? So minus 2 log x I can write as minus log x square. So what is the coefficient here? It is that you can write on the power of the particular function. So as it is without any integration, that is a formula. Okay, for the log function there was a formula, so I am doing, so log of pr plus a, which is to the base e, and minus log r square to the base e, and log b to the base e. I am not at all changing, only I am using what is the thing I know already. And here one more thing is log a plus log b, or log a minus log b. Whenever you see that term, you can write log a minus log b is equal to log of a by b, or log a plus log b is equal to log of ab. So these are the formulas generally. Now see here, log b minus log r square, whatever is having minus, that you should have to keep right. Okay, log b minus log r square, so log a minus log b is there, that's why a by b I can write, right? So log b minus log of r square, so b by r square of still log function. Okay, log of b by r square. Okay, now removing the logarithmic functions on the both the sides, so pr plus a is equal to b by r square, and with the rearrangement I have evaluated pr. Now separate pr came for me, which is equal to b by r square minus a. What is this pr? Radial pressure at a point r, at a distance r from the center. Okay, the radial pressure pr is equal to b by r square minus a, which is one of the Lami's equation to calculate the radial pressure at a particular point at a distance r from the center. So which is indicated as equation number 3. Now the next equation, once the radial pressure was evaluated, the corresponding circumferential stress of you can evaluate from equation 2, right? Now substituting pr is equal to b by r square minus a in the equation 2, where I have got the formula for sigma c in terms of PRs. Okay, now the circumferential stress sigma c is equal to PR plus 2a. PR as is I am substituting b by r square minus a plus 2a. So b by r square plus a I left. Now the circumferential stress sigma c is equal to b by r square plus a. Okay, the conditions were over. These two equations only I am naming them as the equations number 3 and 4 are known as Lami's equation for the radial pressure and for the circumferential stress at a distance r radius on the cylindrical wall. Okay, so at a distance r, when it is having r2 as internal and r1 as external. Okay, so here this one r1 is r2. See, from our first picture we have observed the external radius and the r, right? So internal radius is r2, external radius is r1. internal radius R2, external radius is R1. So R1 should be bigger. Internal radius R2, external radius is R1. So internal radius R2 and external radius R1. In between, any point is having a distance or radius of R from the center. Okay, at that point, at a distance R from the center, what you should have to do? At a distance R from the center, the corresponding circumferential stress or the radial pressures can be calculated from the available Lami's equations for the radial pressure and the circumferential stress. Okay. Right? And okay, I can calculate, but these formulas are involving not only R, but they are also involving A and B, right? Those we have said as the integration constants and some other things. Okay, the constants A and B are obtained. Whenever you observe the constants of integration, those can be obtained from the boundary conditions. Even in our slope deflection chapter also we use the same term. The integration constants will be evaluated from the boundary conditions. Okay, so from the boundary conditions which we can evaluate. So what are the boundary conditions I can use? So the boundary conditions I can use are inside the cylinder, what is the fluid pressure? Okay, what is the radial pressure is the pressure of the fluid only. Inside walls of the cylinder, the radial pressure is its own fluid pressure, and on the outside, when it is kept in the atmosphere as it is, so the outside pressure is equal to 0 or the corresponding atmospheric pressure. So at a distance, at R is equal to R2, okay, when at R is equal to R2, PR is equal to fluid pressure only. Please follow the same notations I am indicating, but the number of slides I have changed, that's why the notations may change. Okay, inside the fluid. So, interior side of the fluid having a radius of R2. At that fluid pressure is its own radial pressure. Okay, radial pressure is equal to its own fluid pressure. Okay, or the pressure of the fluid inside the cylinder. And on the exterior portion, at this level when you go for the exterior level, at this level what is the pressure? That pressure is either equal to 0 if it is kept in the atmosphere, or you can indicate as particular atmospheric pressure. Okay, so after knowing the values of these two, once using the boundary conditions, two unknowns A and B, two boundary conditions, these two. Okay, inside radial pressure is equal to fluid pressure, outside radial pressure is equal to atmospheric pressure or 0 or whatever the pressure they are giving. Okay, now using the radial pressure values as the reference, you can calculate A and B's answer. As the A and B answers, we know the corresponding Hooke stress and the radial pressure we can calculate. Okay, so the particular Hooke stress can be evaluated at any radius. Okay, so in this way you can evaluate or using the Lami's equations. While observing this Lami's equation, what is the thing you should have to remember? While observing this Lami's equation, the variations of the Hooke stress and the radial stress are being parabolic across the cylindrical wall. Okay, so the variations of the Hooke stress and the radial stress are always cylindrical across the cylindrical wall. Why it is? Because sigma c is having a relation like r square. Similarly, PR is having also a relation with r square, right? So this condition has appeared. Some constants were there, this condition has appeared. So in between the radius and the circumferential, in between the radius and the radial pressure, there is a parabolic equation. That's why, so the variations of the Hooke stress and the radial stress are being parabolic across the cylindrical wall thickness. And then the next point, at the inner edge, okay, at the inner edge, the stresses are always being maximum. So as the fluid is filled inside, so the complete inside pressure is highest always. So inside walls of the cylinder, the corresponding pressure is maximum. Now the value of the permissible or the maximum Hooke stress is to be considered at the inner edge only. Yes, if the limit is to be considered, so whatever is the inside stress, That is the limit for us, not the external. Because external may have some lesser value than the inside. So, inside of the container will have the maximum stress. Only the inside of the cylinder will have maximum stresses. Next thing, the maximum shear stress and hoop longitudinal and the radial stresses are calculated in thin cylinders but not separately inner sides and the outer sides of the edges. Okay, so these shear stress, hoop longitudinal and radial strains. Okay, shear stress calculation, hoop strain, longitudinal strain and radial strain. These calculations will not be there in case of the thick cylinders. Okay, separate calculation is not there. Same like the thin cylinders, these will also be calculated. Okay. Now, I am going into a numerical. So first, what is the problem they have given? First, understand the problem. A thick cylindrical pipe of external diameter 300 mm and internal diameter 200 mm is being subjected to an internal fluid pressure of 20 Newton per mm square and also external pressure of 5 Newton per mm square. So, this problem will continue in this class. Thank you.